Hello, everyone, and welcome back to D&D&D&D&D campaign number 1, Under Locks and Keys. When we last left off, the party charted their course to the infamous Suicide Hollow, the island where no pirate or sailor dare tread, for a curse lies upon that land. However, unfortunately, not all sailors fear it as much as you do. On the way there, you were accosted by a Britannian pirate hunting vessel known as the Rotterdam, captained by John Bowman Brand, a infamous pirate huntress who intends to bring death to all who fly the black flag. There was a brief skirmish. Broadsides were exchanged and battles were had until eventually, with both ships having taken heavy damage, you negotiated with the pirate hunter a deal. She is not here for you. She is after a more appetizing target. Paul's former ally, Captain Red, who, on charges of piracy and cannibalism, is being hunted by Britannia, and was last seen in this very region. Bowman has agreed that in exchange for your lives and your assistance in this matter, she has no interest in the treasure of the island, only in bringing Britannian justice to those who fly the black flag. You and your crew will be allowed to leave safely if you accomplish this task without issue. However, she has made it clear that if you fail or turn against her, not only will you be stranded on this island with no way out, she will also begin executing your crew, many of which are your friends and family.
Family, friends. I think the only one we actually care about is the other study person, girl.
Well, there's also
And, Avaven's boyfriend, his closest friend from home.
Oh yeah, I forgot about those two.
The child that you brought from Levant and his grandfather.
Forgot about him too.
You just forget about everybody, don't you?
Well, I don't think I was there for that session.
You were.
You were.
Well, he wasn't there when we boarded, but you were there the last week.
I was there last session, but I wasn't there the previous session. So I had no idea that these people were even on the ship. In my defense.
Well, they're your crew, so. Regardless, that is the situation. You guys.
No, Raven brought his with him, so.
Knowing the potential dangers that were posed, you all managed to convince the true captain of the vessel to accompany you on this journey. And he is one of the few who has experience with the dangers of the island. As you all made your way inside, he began to lead you to what was supposed to just be a simple, basic shelter that would provide you what Bowman was looking for as a base of operations during the extent of your operations on this island. However, you came across something unexpected. What was once a simple shelter has, without the captain's knowledge, been converted into what is effectively a small village, inhabited by a single man, who introduces himself to you as the very merchant you are seeking. Klavak, the ever prepared.
I wasn't here.
And that is where we will pick back up.
I've been waiting for this moment.
Ever prepared.
What is his description?
Well, let's start the session and I'll tell you.
We just did.
So, I'm going to say every time you sass me, it's going to take longer.
Sass.
If we have to, we can kick into a different channel so we can get a description.
I don't know. A part of me kind of is like, I wonder who would back down first.
I promise you, it's gonna be you.
God. Let's not get into that.
He gives you all a bow and a smile. I hope you don't mind me taking it upon myself to upgrade the very basic shelter. I wasn't sure who the original owner was, and thought I might as well take advantage of my skills and resources to make my stay here a bit more comfortable. I assume you all are the companions that got my message.
Yeah. So what's hunting you exactly?
Straight to business. I like that. For introductions, though, I am Klevak, the ever-prepared, they call me. And as for what hunts me, he turns and gestures for you all to follow him as he walks through the, again, little self-made village that he's been staying in for the time being. Getting a better look at him, you can see that he appears to be human, as far as you can identify. A head of short, kind of very simply cut brown hair. You get the impression that, whether due to staying on the island or perhaps just simple personal preference, he has not, or rather, has been doing a lot of his personal maintenance personally. Does not appear that he has seen a traditional barber. You can see some spots of his hair that are a little longer or shorter than others, as if the job was self-done. Strapped to his body, you can see plate armor, solid steel, that appears to be black. Although, other than the black coloring, Asari kind of looking it over, you don't see anything, ruins, markings, anything that would imply it's professionally made, such as the stamp of a blacksmith, or any ruins that would imply arcane ability. Other than the black coloring, this appears to just be simple handmade steel armor. Along with that equipment is a matching colored set of a steel sword, some axes and maces draped around his belt, a shield in one hand, and a longbow and quiver of arrows over the shoulder. All of it carrying the same sort of look to it. It's good quality, but has no indication of being made elsewhere or being arcane in nature. In his other hand, you can see he carries a pickaxe, which also looks pretty good quality, but looks a lot more worn than the rest of the equipment does. As for what hunts me, I'm afraid, in truth, I haven't actually seen it. Not in full. But I do know it's following me.
If you've never seen anything, how do you know it's following you?
Well, you said in full.
Throughout this island, I've been finding webbings. But not those made by spiders. Not the least of which, that would be unusual. Spiders are not native to this island. But even beyond that, the webs are massive and constructed of blood and flesh.
Well, that's
No
not
spider
odd.
I know of produces webs like that. And I know just about every spider in the world. I'm quite well traveled, you see. I don't doubt that with my considerable skills I can protect myself from this creature. My main concern, admittedly, is with others. You came here on a ship, I presume.
Kind of.
I mean, yes, we did.
That is a bit more varied answers than I was expecting. Is there something I should know?
Pirate hunters kind of, did their thing.
The Rotterdam, Britannian flag?
Yep.
The very same vessel that attacked mine.
Well, that's interesting.
Well, that's it.
I'm sorry, dear. I'm afraid I couldn't quite understand you. He kind of rubs at his ears and cleans them out a bit. Now then, as promised, I am more than willing to part with my piece of your puzzle. Uh, Although, understand, I went to rather great lengths to acquire it. But I will aid you in any way I can. But first, I need this creature dealt with. Pirate hunters or no, I would feel rather of ill mind and conscience if I were to bring this predator with me to the mainland. With any luck, it's just as trapped on this island as I am. And from the sounds of it at the moment, you are as well. If we leave without destroying it, it will likely follow us, and it could hurt all of you, or civilians.
Before we get into all that, because I do agree with you that it needs to be dealt with. Can we see this artifact just to make sure that that you actually do have it and you're not just bluffing?
I assure you, I am a master of many things, but bluffing is not one of them. I assure you I'm quite serious, and my equipment is well protected. However, understand, while I trust your comrade, the Twin Mind, speaking of, where are they? Are they with you? Back on the vessel, perhaps?
We're a bit busy in town.
A shame. It's been quite a while since we've spoken. He hesitates for a moment and understand that I do not know you and have no implicit reason to trust you. What would be stopping you from simply taking the artifact out of my hands and leaving me on this island?
Well, there's the pirate hunter that's expecting us to catch a certain pirate that may be here. It might even have something to do with what's chasing you.
Ah, I see.
I just want
a pirate called Red.
And I just want a visual confirmation. I don't want to touch it. Just see that you actually have it.
Make a persuasion check.
Okay.
You didn't hear what Avabin said?
Oh no, he did. Just like I can only respond to a couple people at a time, and B, he just didn't have anything to add. Although he did, kind of give a thoughtful noise of indication that he was considering what you said.
19.
He is quiet for a moment before. Very well. Although, in case you get any ideas about this, understand that I prioritize the protection of my possessions quite highly, and I do not need to be present for my possessions to protect themselves. Is that understood?
Of course, of course.
He gestures for all of you to follow him. And as you walk through the campsite, you all get a look around, and everything here gives the same indications as the man's equipment. Homemade. Professional, but homemade nonetheless. There are huts constructed out of wood and bamboo. Some leaf coverage for roofing. You can see what appears to be a bathhouse. What appears to be facilities. Even a small little outdoor kitchen and eatery, although obviously very small, given that it was intended for one person. Everything that you would expect to see in like a small island village, seemingly constructed by one man.
Nice little thing, nice little place you've made.
It pays to be prepared, I always say. And I didn't know how long I would be waiting, so I occupied my hands.
Ooh,
I mean, I've
well
heard
done.
resourceful, but this is a little ridiculous.
Oh, in my travels, you learn how to survive, take care of yourself, do what you have to do and all that.
Well, if you ever decide to retire, I opened up a store recently. I could use your skills.
Thank you, but I'm afraid I typically am not exactly welcome in towns for long periods of time.
Huh? I don't see why.
Actually, you do, even if you don't realize it. Look around you. All of this done by just myself. I imagine for a similar project, you likely would need a team of people.
Yes.
Well, you can imagine that makes me quite unpopular among townspeople who would much rather have 20 of their own receive payment for such a job as opposed to one outsider.
Mm, fair enough, but at the same time, cheaper labor, you know?
The problems that plague us all. He leads you all to a tree that's positioned a little outside of the camp. And at the base of it, you see what appears to be at least at an immediate quick glance, simple backpack. Much like the ones you all started your adventure with. However, you can see that strapped to the side are various swords, which are currently spiked into the dirt, presumably to keep it in place. There are chains holding the pack shut, and as he approaches it, he reaches inside easily all the way up to his elbow and kind of rifling around before pulling free, presumably, what you were looking for. A small, demonic mask with glowing orange eyes.
I have a feeling you probably wouldn't want to put that mask on lightly.
Quite.
No.
This mask was constructed by an unseelie entity. I estimate its craftsmanship to date easily 300 years ago or more. I managed to acquire it from a elven village that was using it for hexing rituals.
Do you know which
Right.
divine being it is attributed to?
I know it well, although one does not take the name of the unseelie lightly.
If
Let's see.
that is its name?
The Unseelie are they're very mischievous elves, if I'm not mistaken.
Not elves. Not quite. Rather, elves were what eventually became of them. The Unseelie are a variety of entities. Spriggans, for instance, are quite common. While some elves and gnomes pledge allegiance to them, for the most part they are creatures outside of mortal comprehension. And while I don't imagine they would pose any threat to me, they could pose quite a threat to you if I were to summon them by invoking their name.
I see.
Fair enough.
He carefully puts the mask back in his pack, and you notice as he closes it, there's a crystal dangling by a jeweled chain, and with a tap, you see the entire pack disappear.
I guess that really helps with thievery, doesn't it?
As I said, I take the defense of my possessions quite seriously. My craftsmanship is quite fine, and a brigand or highwayman acquiring weapons and armor, or, heaven forbid, arcane tools and implements of my design could pose quite a danger to others.
That's fair.
You do seem to have a lot of confidence in your work.
I'm always prepared. I have no reason not to be. Although I do apologize if I come off as something of a braggart. I spend quite a lot of time busying my hands, as it were, and As I said, one of the few skills that elude me is social ones. He gives kind of an awkward smile.
Yeah, as they say, practice makes perfect.
And I have quite a bit of practice.
So, any idea where we can find this beast of yours?
Unfortunately, I have not managed to narrow down a lair. I've searched my booklet, but I cannot find any information on such a creature.
You
Any
found the
creature
webs?
based on the webs? Of course, I would imagine spider, perhaps an arachne of some sort, but I've never seen a spider make webbing out of flesh and blood like that.
No, uh, could you show us where the webs are?
Oh,
Might give us an idea of how to find it.
certainly. It's a bit further into the jungle. Follow me.
Well, if the rest of you are okay with this. I don't
Sounds
want
like
to
a good place to
assume.
start.
So Matt,
As he...
Matt,
What's up?
did Red ever have a like an art of like a basically like a keepsake or an art of like something he kept on him?
Make a history check.
I figured. Yeah, history. 8.
Not that you can remember.
All right.
As he begins to lead you all further in, Captain Thown speaks up, taking a position kind of in the rear middle of the group, as Klavok takes the lead. I say, Sports, are we quite sincerely placing our trust in this man?
I mean,
Well,
not much else we can do right now.
Yeah,
He's the one who has the object we
so,
need.
You might have to type there.
Yeah, you're gonna have to type, Amanda.
And it wouldn't be very good to leave him here anyways.
Oh, I have no intention of leaving a presumably innocent man to die. Perhaps I've been... You're right. My mind's been in dark places for too long.
well,
If you old sports say that he's trustworthy, I will trust your judgment.
well, trustworthy
it's-
is questionable, but if he does anything too suspicious, I mean, I should be here to protect y'all.
Yeah, we could probably deal with any if he does give us trouble, but so far, all we know about him is that he's a merchant looking to sell us something. It would be kind of stupid to. It would be kind of stupid to, try to kill buyers you have lined up.
Assume unless you want what the buyer has.
Not to mention, dehydration and heat can take a toll on any sane mind. But needs must. I'll return to the beach and inform our gracious captor that we have found a place where the crew can take shelter. With any luck, she'll be true to her word, and the crew will not come to harm. I will await with all of you and the crew back at the shelter once you investigate these strange webs. Eh, what?
Sounds fair.
He shifts to turn his wheelchair around and begins to wheel his way back. Klavok pays him no particular mind, continuing to lead you all into the denser parts of the jungle.
Do I still hear that woodpecker?
You do. It's distant, but it's there. Although most of you being able to hear it was more of a spiritual connection. The rest of you can hear it faintly, but you're in the middle of a forest. That sort of sound isn't necessarily out of place. Avaben, you in particular grew up in a forest where sounds like that were super common.
Yeah. Was there anything weird about woodpeckers in this setting?
Not that's been immediately noted. Klavak leads you all onward, taking you into a dense path of the jungle. Although you notice a lot of the path has been cut already, as if by a blade. There's not a path that indicates this area is well traveled, but there's a sort of cleaved directional pathway that you imagine, given everything else he likely made himself. While he does occasionally have to use his black blade to cut or push aside particularly brave foliage, your trek through steaming jungle is easier than you'd expect, although you all do begin to sustain sweat and bug bites along the way. Now, I will warn all of you, I don't suggest traveling these jungles at night unless needs must. This place is haunted.
Yeah, that's why I bought a book about it.
Books serve you well, boy. He pushes aside another piece of foliage for all of you and continues making his way forward.
Yeah.
I've written quite a few of my own.
Oh, you're a bit of a writer, huh?
Mostly documentation of things I've encountered in my travels. I find it services me more than the books written by so-called experts.
Yeah, I've heard those books can be kind of hit or miss.
Quite. I find there's no education quite like seeing and doing it for yourself. Now, he stops as you guys arrive at a, not quite a clearing, but just kind of a thicker bushel where the trees part. From here, there are a few places you can go. I've explored just about this entire island, although I have yet to make it inside the mountain. And he levels his sword, and because of the clearing in the trees, you all can see the volcano looming over everything, providing what is probably the only shade this entire island gets besides the trees. Beyond that, though, I have found some rather interesting artifacts that, whether they prove useful to you or not, I suppose will be up to you. Old relics, things of that nature, perhaps an ancient civilization that lived here once. Statues and other craftsmanship of that nature. Making your way forward from here, and he gestures with the sword in the appropriate direction, which I will say, Avaben being the best sort of survivalist and tracker, you would know that his gesture is directing you kind of northeast. That way is the base of the mountain. That is where I found by far the largest accruement of webbing. It's a bit of a walk from here, so I understand if you're not quite ready for a trek like that so soon after your presumably difficult journey from the sounds of it. But that way, and he gestures this time to the direct west. That way is devoid of the strange webbing, at least as far as I've been able to find, and I assure you I'm quite good at finding things. What does concern me more, however, is that the predators and fauna of the island gravitate to the thicker parts of the jungle. But I have found statues and other things of archaeological use there, so perhaps that will do you some good.
Surprised you haven't drawn up a map yet.
I'd been intending to, but... And he gestures to himself. I've had my hands rather busy with multiple things, and unfortunately I wasn't sure when you were going to arrive, so a map was rather short on my list, especially given that I have it all committed to memory by now.
Well, if you don't want to walk through this, we could always fly.
Hello?
Hello.
I was trying to
Hello?
say to look at all the things because, like, I am an
Well,
Archaeologist.
there's
They're not
none like
that-
yeah. There's none immediately in front of you. He was just pointing out that that's like some noteworthy things he's found.
Yeah, like he's got them. They're just not
Well,
on him.
he knows what they are, at least.
Mm. Yeah, so basically, overview. If you head northeast, that takes you to the volcano, where he says that is where he found this strange flesh and blood spider webbing in its greatest accruement. If you head west, you'll find yourself in the thicker parts of the jungle away from the volcano, where there are more predators and creatures of the island. However, he has found evidence of what was likely an ancient civilization of some kind, statues and the like. And of course, south is your shelter, close to the beach.
Maybe if we did make a map, we could maybe mark out where the webbing is and see if there's a center point.
And as I said, we could always get an aerial view. But also, while I'm thinking about it, what all do you have protecting your stuff? There's a little, what's the word, halfling that tends to follow us and picks up whatever's not nailed down.
I assure you, I'm more than capable of protecting my belongings from mere thieves.
Yeah, wouldn't be so sure. He's very interesting fellow.
I've been told I'm quite interesting myself.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd give you a head up about him.
I've also heard that sometimes trouble has a tendency to find you.
One could say that. I will admit this isn't my first time being stalked by such a predator.
Yeah, I bought the book from one of the merchants, and she said she had heard some stories about you getting into some trouble.
As I said, civilization tends not to welcome me.
Almost makes me wonder if this beast is looking for you for another purpose.
It's certainly possible. But...
We're burning daylight.
And perhaps if we can track the creature, we can interrogate it from there. The first step will be to figure out where exactly it's nesting.
Let's see. 3 of us can fly, and I could probably carry a few.
The only person who can't is.
Let's
You
see.
can fly?
Yeah, I have wild shape.
No, I was talking to Austin.
It has got a Pegasus horse thingy.
Periton.
I can fly. Remember, I flew to the ship.
Yeah. Oh, and Asari can fly.
Yeah, she's got dragon wings.
Yeah, you're the only
Figured it
one
might be
here.
easier to see all this
So
stuff. from
Raven
up
is the only
above.
one who doesn't have an ability to fly.
No, but I can carry you. Like, he could easily put you on his back, along with the other guy.
Yeah, did the Raven's friends stay behind at the little area, or did they come with them all the way here?
Neither. They're still on the ship.
Yeah,
No.
they weren't
Matthew,
given a choice.
he said, I think it'd be best if you stay with me.
Well, yeah, but the pirate hunter said you're going into the longboat with just the party and me and the captain.
Okay, you see, that's something I missed whenever I was trying to look through stuff.
Well,
'Cause-
that's why you pay attention.
A Raven never would have agreed to that.
Well, I mean, you had guns pointed to your head. You didn't exactly get it.
You
It
think
wasn't
he would've
exactly
given a
negotiable.
shit? It was non-negotiable for him.
Well, I mean, I guess then we're lucky then because you would have had to roll up a new character.
But what do you guys think? Should we fly or keep walking?
I'm completely fine
Text.
with
I can't hear
really,
what you're
but-
saying. Rip.
I think
The rest of you?
I'm assuming she left just to see if it'll fix it.
She's getting irritated with the internet.
Yeah, I get it. I've been there. It's frustrating.
So are they just leaving?
I don't know.
Sounds like it, but well, I mean, obviously we need. It sounds like we need to go to this where all this black
Wedding is right.
wedding. Yeah, the black wedding is.
Yeah, I need to see what this stuff looks like and maybe see if we can't figure out some kind of trail or pattern to it.
Well, let's go then. And I will turn into a giant eagle.
The eagles.
The Eagles are coming. All right.
Exactly.
Transforming yourself into a giant eagle. Paul mounting your periton. Asari sprouting their draconic wings. Avaben, you are free to ride upon Greylog if you wish.
I guess it doesn't have a choice.
Always walk.
Yeah, that's not very fast though. And everyone else is flying, so he'd wind up being the only one down there.
Klavak gives a nod and gestures again northeast. Northeast, straight to the base of the mountain. There's a small clearing not far from a river. You can't miss it. I will make my way back to base camp and await your return.
It might be the mountain if you say it's all around the mountain.
It's quite possible. I suggest you not enter the nest if you manage to find it without me, but at the very least, if you do, I would request you bring back some materials. I'm quite curious if this webbing it's using is useful for anything.
Squawk, squawk.
I'm gonna go get some food real quick.
Go ahead.
Well, not sure about that, but I guess technically, but we shall see.
All right. Greylog and Paul astride your deer periton. You take to the air along with the archaeologist. And Klavak begins to make his way back to the village as you all survey your surroundings. Looking around, you see, most obviously, of course, there is the volcano. Can't miss it. However, looking around, you get a better look at just the kind of topography of the island. The beaches are white and sandy, and it appears, other than the volcano itself, the bulk of the island is completely encompassed by thick, steaming jungle. It's a bright, sunny day, and the sunlight here is brutal. Blue skies, white clouds. It'd be a beautiful day if it just wasn't so goddamn muggy out here. To the northeast, you see the volcano, which kind of acts as this almost centerpiece of the island. Not quite exactly centered, but a sort of general, like, central landmark around which the jungle develops. And Greylog, being more nature-attuned, indeed, following a glance to a more northwesterly direction, you see that there is the jungle gets thicker and thicker up to a point where you just straight up cannot see through the tree line. That seems to be the direction he indicated, where there were signs of civilization at one point that are no longer present.
Okay.
And of course, you can see the Rotterdam anchored off the coast, and you can already see longboats beginning to make their way to and from the beach, dropping off a large platoon of pirate hunters and, of course, your crew.
Yeah, I really don't like her.
What do you guys wish to do?
Head northeast.
All right, you're gonna make your way to the base of the volcano.
That's what I thought the plan was. So
Yeah,
yeah.
Look for the goo or looking for the black webbing.
Okay. I will say, Greylog, make a perception check with advantage since Paul's helping you.
Okay. Okay, the first one was a dirty 20 and then a 27.
Okay. You all begin to fly in what Avabin kind of generally guides you to a northeasterly direction towards the mountain and begin to search the ground. Greylog, you manage to catch sight of and point out the river that Klavak had indicated, and Paul trailing that to the mountain. You eventually are indeed able to see that there is a sort of indentation where the river flows, where it directly meets with the mountain. And next to it, you notice that the tree line kind of thins into a clearing, although from this high up you can't super clearly see what's in it. But do you wish to go down and check?
Yeah, that's what he advised. So he's been here longer. That's where I would go.
Everyone good with that?
Yeah, no objections.
Okay. You make your way down and land at the base of the volcano. All around you, you see that while trees seemed a little hesitant, ivies have begun to slink across the ground and hug at the base of the mountain and work its way up it. You can see all around you, the trees have thinned and are seemingly completely lifeless. Paul, you notice the Gigi birds that you saw around the island, the small pine devil creatures on the beach. Other than the plants, there's nothing here. It's not unnaturally silent, but it is a little lifeless for a jungle. And more prominently, you see the base of the mountain in front of you, kind of intermingled with the ivy plants, is this very odd looking spider web. Red with black spots, almost like this sort of like black tumorous things on the red veins, forming these spider web patterns.
I am back.
Hello. And in the center of the clearing, you see two large, fleshy, almost cocoons. Appear to be about, you'd estimate 7-8 feet tall, about 5 feet wide each, and both of them this very precise distance apart. And everywhere between those statues and the base of the mountain has been completely coated in this red and black fleshy webbing. Almost like a giant flesh spider spun a protective web. And I will say Greylog and Avabin, as the people who would know the most about animals here, you can immediately spot that it is not too dissimilar to the way something like a wolf spider builds their webs, albeit there is no spider in sight. And as Klavak mentioned, you do not know of any spiders that use what definitely looks and smells like flesh and blood to create their webs.
Well, this is thoroughly unpleasant.
Yeah, I'm gonna look over the webbing and like the cocoons, and I would like to use divine sense. If they are celestial, fiend, or undead.
and I would like to investigate them as well, just to see if I can learn anything from them about material and what possibly made it, and like just more about it.
Music changed.
Vaben wants to see if there's a pattern to the webbing, see if it's like any trails or anything like that.
You're talking, Matt. You're muted.
No worries. I was just making sure everybody was good. All right, so Avaben, roll survival. Greylog, roll investigation. Paul, your thing is automatic, so you're good. However, I will say for for Greylog and Avaben, so you're going to be doing these investigations, totally fine. Are you willing to touch the webbing in the process of these investigations?
Not at first.
Okay, noted. Greylog?
I would probably poke it with a stick before I touch it with like physical contact,
Noted.
just to make
Yeah,
sure
you saying
that
that
it's
kind of
not going to
changed
kill
things.
me. Because
Well-
one thing I'm hesitant about is if this is any kind of spider web, they go based off of vibration from any kind of contact.
Yeah, fire.
No, yeah, that's part of the reason I asked that first, because I didn't want to be like, all right, Greylog, you start touching the webbing and pulling on it curiously, and then for you to be like, no, I wouldn't have done that. So
Yes.
Because I know what you're alluding at because it's a spider web. I know how spiders work.
Yeah.
all right, you all split up. Paul putting out your divine paladinic radar. Greylog curiously looking at these massive cocoons, and Avaben looking around at the webbing itself, seeing if there's any indication of a trail.
Oh, shit, let me roll that.
Yeah,
got
so
a
I will
natural
bring you
again.
investigation for.
Natural 20.
All right, noted.
Survival plus 12. So that's going to be a natural 20.
Okay.
Nice! Well done.
Paul, as you put out your paladinic radar, you do not sense anything, not in your immediate area. At the very least, anything your sense would have picked up does not appear to be here. Is that immediate, or does it last for a bit?
I think it's just immediate.
Okay,
Yeah.
just correct me if that's not the case.
Just lasts for like 6 seconds.
Like a
till the-
magical sonar post.
Mhm.
Yeah, until the end of your next turn. So
Okay.
6 or 12 seconds, maybe.
Okay, noted. Greylog, careful not to touch them, as, again, a druid, you know how spiders work. You carefully approach the cocoons, which, again, act as this sort of border between the thickest of the webbing and the mountain itself. With you not necessarily wanting to touch them, it's a little hard to get anything concrete. However, I will say, looking over the cocoons themselves, you begin to notice that there is a shape to them. The cocoons
Are they human shaped?
no, actually. Greylog, you realize that whatever is under these cocoons, these actually aren't made solidly of this fleshy, stringy material. They're built on top of something. What, you don't know what. However, you notice that whatever is beneath the cocoon has a distinct bird-like shape. Both cocoons take on the shape of a bird, both of which have wings spread and are cawing, and are facing in opposite directions.
I know what this is. It's what he's been hearing. Can he try? I was gonna say, can he focus on them and like see if he can get any druid senses from them?
Are you casting a spell or just seeing if just druid stuff happens to you?
Yeah, no, he's just like focusing and like it's not a spell. It's just
So yeah, just druid
he's
stuff.
trying to connect
Just
to
druid
the
stuff.
nature aspect.
Roll Arcana.
I wonder
In the
if
meantime,
a druid could also be a filthy necromancer.
I mean, there's nothing stopping you.
I was like, can they do necromancy? I think maybe.
Well, I think any class can do necromancy. It's just you could multi-class to be a druid necromancer.
Well, yeah.
Is necromancer its own class?
No, but it's a subclass of wizard.
Yeah.
A
I'm
Vaben,
Thought it
squishy
would've been
enough.
warlock.
I mean, there's some like undead features. There's some undead subclasses kind of deal. Not called necromancer, but
I'm squishy enough. I'm not going to add wizard to my class.
a Vaben, focusing on the webbing itself as Greylog begins to get curious and suspicious of the bird-like cocoons. You turn your attention to the webbing itself. Similar to Greylog, you are careful enough not to touch them, which again does make direct tracking a little bit difficult. However, I will point out that you notice, as mentioned, the webbing is built specifically between these bird-like cocoons, which, as mentioned, are facing in opposite directions. And the base of the mountain, and then just this like floor and ceiling, just this little like almost hallway of this webbing connects to the base of the mountain, where you notice the bloody webbing mixes with ivy vines. And as you were gone when this was mentioned, but you notice there's no animals, like no mosquitoes, no birds. There's no animal life in this area, but the plant life almost seems to enthusiastically join with this fleshy material. Ivy is growing on the side of the mountain, and the trees make this very tight-knit clearing as if they're growing ever closer to the flesh webbing. But you notice it is at its thickest around the statues and around the base of the mountain, where it mixes with the ivy vines to create this sort of crisscross plaiting of flesh and plant matter.
Interesting. Also, there's statues.
Basically because it's this like bird-like cocoon, so yeah, they have like an almost statue-like appearance,
Oh,
because
okay.
they're not
That's what you
they're
meant
not
by statue.
yeah, because they're not like moving at all, and like Greylog is about to check if there's anything alive in there,
Interesting.
like how a Medusa victim would be a statue.
So is it like? So it leads to the base of the mountain.
Yeah, and then it gets like really thick because the plants are mixing with the flesh.
Does that seem to be like the origin or the terminus of it?
I will say with a natural 20, actually no. You notice you are able to identify, again, being fairly familiar with the hunting tactics of things like spiders. Assuming this is anything like one, you notice the point of origin of the webbing actually appears to be the bird shapes, the cocoons. The flesh stretches from the cocoons to the base of the mountain, and Avaben, at a careful glance, you notice the ivy vines are mixed very precisely with the webs, almost like a cross-stitch pattern. Ivy vine, flesh tendril, ivy vine, flesh tendril, forming this secure crisscrossing over the base of the mountain.
Does it seem almost like maybe like it could be a barrier?
It certainly would be possible.
That something created a barrier around the mountain, almost like it's trying to keep something out.
Certainly seems that way. Greylog Arcana?
18.
You do not pick up any druidic signal from the cocoons. However, you do pick up two kind of noteworthy sort of, I guess, pulses, for lack of a better term. It's more gut instinct you're relying on than anything, but whatever this is, it's not nature. At least not any nature you recognize. Your magic doesn't necessarily reject it, but it doesn't really engage with it either. However, I will say you do note there is definitely magical energy coming off of these cocoons. The same sort of energy you get off of a magic item. But whatever's in there, if it's alive, it's not in a way your magic considers alive.
That's odd.
Yeah, maybe we'll regroup with the others and share his theory that whatever this was making this seemed to maybe almost create a barrier around the mountain. Was
Like
it just
maybe
completely
something.
like solid, or was it like you could kind of see through? More like basically anything that comes through here is going to be noticed by whatever's inside or connected to this, or is it like just a solid wall?
Because of the thick cross stitching, you're not positive what's on the other side. However, again, it is a cross stitch of ivy and blood. So, yeah, I will definitely say, yeah, if there is something on the other side of any value, yeah, the only way you're getting through is by getting rid of the webbing and vines, which would be noticeable to anyone stumbling across this, or perhaps to whoever made it, if you and Greylog's theory of it being like a spider level of awareness of its webbing is true.
Basically, this would seem consistent with something trying. Basically, something is hiding in there for now, and it sets something up so that if anyone tries to get to it, it will know ahead of time.
Mm.
Also, I was being to ask you, Paul. Does this stuff remind you of anything your old friend Red did?
No, nothing at all. I mean, he had I guess you could say a monstrous form, but nothing, at least as far as I've seen.
Look anything like this?
Doesn't seeing it doesn't ring any bells. No, I mean he never really left any trails usually, as far as I kind of pay attention. He more or less I more or less ignored him since he tended to do his own thing. But if this is him, then he certainly has changed.
Oh, we've gotten stronger. Who's to say he doesn't? That he didn't get stronger too.
Well, I mean, there's stronger, and then there's whatever
Different
this
behavior.
different behavior and outright. I mean, this doesn't exactly come across as just something you get stronger with. It sounds like he would be his physical, he would be changing completely. But
Well, unless there's more the rest of you want to do, I say we take back what we learned. See if we can't come up with some idea of how to move forward.
I mean, if we're suspecting that it's behind this whatever this is, it's I mean, does this thing go like crazy high? Like,
No, it basically hooks to the base of the mountain. I'd say about, by the looks of it, it goes about 15 feet high and then stops. But it forms this almost like entrance hall looking structure. Like it's on the ground. It has like a ceiling. It has walls. Basically, as mentioned, the cocoons reach about 8 feet tall at the highest. And then from the cocoons to about 15 foot up the mountain, there's a stretch of webbing, and everything between them is completely coated.
Does this look like it could be a makeshift house out of webbing?
If it had a wall at the direct entrance of the cocoons and a door, then yeah, it certainly would look it.
So why don't we go back to base camp? We can always
Sorry, wanted to
come.
look at those ruins.
Well,
Hmm.
there's no ruins here, just a bunch of gross spider webs.
Yeah, they're back that other way.
Yeah, but
Northwest.
once we deal with all of this, who's to say we can't stick around and investigate the society when we don't have to worry about the whole
First
like
Island,
Well,
yeah
there,
everything.
and we do have all of our friends and so forth being held hostage.
yeah, I'm not sure about staying here. And also, this you're implying that this creature is the cause of all the cursedness, whatever it is. But
Which I doubt this, whatever this is, caused the curse. It's probably something completely unrelated, something new. Because
You know
I
what I
don't
was
think the other captain ever mentioned anything about this. Right, DM.
No, while he mentioned basically he mentioned a vague familiarity with the concept of something like this. As far as he knows, yeah, this creature is not native to the island or its curse.
I was also thinking, guys, well, if we come back with the pirate hunter and her crew, we can use them as fodder for whatever's on the other side.
let's not do
Do you want to
I have a
go in
feeling they won't
first?
want to be
that.
very
Sure,
helpful.
I don't mind doing that.
Oh, fair enough. Do we want to go ahead and go in now? What kind of what part of day is it? Like, is it early? Is it afternoon?
Uh, at,
Night?
at this point, it is very early afternoon, like something in the ballpark of like kind of like it's just getting close to noon. But even then, you have like an hour or two.
We should probably make sure we have as much help as we're going to get for this. I don't think we should just go rushing in right now.
We're already all here. This is about as much help as we're going to get.
Well, You had your idea, which I doubt will work, but I guess it wouldn't be a terrible one. If we can convince her that this is her target, she may go for it. And there's this merchant guy. I want to see what he can do. I'm curious.
But I also get where Paul's coming from. Better for us to look at this, and if there is anything useful here, or if it is indeed red, better for us to take care of it than for whatever it is to spread to someone else.
I mean, that
Thing to
wasn't.
be
Not to
intent
mention,
on spreading right now.
you heard what the woman said. If something happens to her on this island, even if it's not our fault, we're gonna be stranded here.
Oh, no, not really. I could get us back easily. You forget I have a spell to transport us. But there's the rest of the crew that I'm thinking about for that one.
Yes,
Yeah.
that would be the problem there. Plus, I mean,
That's true.
again, I
Why
have
leave
no,
a piece off the board?
well, I have no intentions of just
We can.
offing people.
Usually, we don't need the. We probably shouldn't use the captain for that concern, but again,
I mean,
why leave a piece off the board with the other guy? He seemed quite intent on dealing with this thing.
Yeah, but something's off about him.
Well, better we learn that now than randomly on our way back.
Uh,
Alright. Do you guys wish to fly back or just take the walk?
I'm not even sure I want to go back quite yet because once we get back, who's to say that this pirate hunter captain's going to let us leave again?
It's up to you guys.
yeah.
And he is going to voice this to the others.
Well, then don't talk to her.
Don't talk
She
to
doesn't
her.
really strike me as the talking type.
Just don't. Where did she stay?
She is basically she's on the island with you already. She's just not among you currently. She sent you ahead to find shelter, and Thown went back to basically tell her, hey, shelter's been found, just so she didn't get an itchy trigger finger and start offing hostages. You guys, this was while you were getting food. While you guys were flying to this location, you saw that she was overseeing getting crew and hostages on the island to be transported to Klavak's shelter.
Besides, she probably will be upset if we don't tell her something.
I mean, if you need me, I can talk to her.
So it would probably be wise to head back and have an actual plan rather than just running in swords in the air.
I will admit this isn't my area of expertise with the whole plan. So what do y'all think? I'll go with what you say.
I think we should head back and make a plan.
Do you agree, Paul?
I mean, I think heading back could be something we could do. I mean, we're not. I've been not wrong. We could always see if we can gather more information or see what other people are capable of. But I'm definitely, 100% against the idea of using anyone as cannon fodder.
Yeah, you got a good point.
That is something I probably won't allow.
I thought we just did not. We just say no if they ask it.
I mean, I doubt they'll.
Welcome back.
Oh.
Hello, you are muted if you're talking. Yeah, so are we all in agreement on the plan to head back then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can any hear me?
A little spotty, but yes.
All right.
Okay. Greylog, are you guys walking, or are you gonna use another wild shape to help you and Avaben get there faster?
How long did it take us to get there?
By flight, it was about something in the ballpark of like 20 minutes.
Okay, I'm just gonna cast polymorph.
Okay.
That way he can save his druid wild shape.
Okay. Transforming yourself into another eagle, you all take flight and begin to make your way back to base camp. Asari, just as a quick summation of what you missed, you guys went to the base of the volcano where the webbing was spotted and found that indeed there is this kind of large area of webbing that is a mixture of flesh and plant matter built between two cocoons in the shape of birds and the base of the mountain itself, which Avaben suspects may be not a nest, but a door. Most of the party agrees with that theory, but agree that they should head back and inform everyone.
His theory is that there's something inside that barrier.
Mm-hmm.
So his theory is that is the nest.
Mm-hmm. So I stand corrected. His theory is that is the nest, but regardless, you should not charge in without A, everyone being on the same page, and B, when there's hostages in danger and potential assets not being used. The sun is beginning to hit its peak by the time you guys descend from your winged flight down into Klavak's base camp. Looking around, you see, honestly, with all the people that are here now, you would think this was just a bustling little colony of Britannia. The Britannian soldiers of the Rotterdam patrol in small groups. The heat is intense and the bug bites are difficult. You can see that over by one of the larger huts, you see Klavak, Bowman, and Thown are in a kind of huddled and, from the looks of it, deep conversation. However, as the four of you descend from your flight and dismount from those who require mounts or untransform from those who transform, Avaben, you are approached by your Sherwood companions. You all pulls you into an embrace, and Ollie kind of tilts her head to the side and, find anything interesting out there? I mean, besides bug bites? And she slaps the back of her neck.
Oh, please, you act like we never dealt with that. Maybe not to the same volume.
She licks the dead bug off her fingers, and yeah, but at least where we come from, it wasn't so hot.
Fair. Yes, I think we did find something.
At this, you can see the trio of leadership seemingly perk up and begin to approach the group. Great job, old beans. What did you find out there?
Well, it would appear that the webbing has surrounded the mountain. What one might even call a barrier.
A barrier.
Yes, it's connected to what we found were two, I believe, what Greylog described as bird-licking cocoons, and they were the source of the webbing, and the webbing went from them to the mountain and surrounded it. And what I theorize to be a barrier, maybe some way to ensure whatever's inside will know of an intruder, because an intruder would have to cut through their barrier.
Keeping something out or is keeping something in?
I thought that too, but
Possibly both.
Bowman kind of gives a slow nod and, thank you for the report. She snaps her fingers, and a few of the patrols turn their attention to her. The base of the mountain, you said. Klavak, you said this was northeast? Yes, I prepared a path through the jungle to assist your men. My thanks. Men, investigate this nest.
If I might
would
be
have-
so
Is it
bold,
the sun getting like really high? Like it's gonna be getting night soon?
Well, it's not going to be getting night soon, but yeah, it's just hitting like midday, and the sun is at its highest and brightest.
If you're gonna do something like that, I would recommend telling them not to touch the stuff. It is reminiscent of a spider, and I'm sure you know what happens when a bug disturbs a spider's nest.
She hesitates for a moment before, and prepare an artillery encampment. Thank you for the warning, Mr.
You can call me Ivan.
Well, Mr. Iverbin, I appreciate the warning. With any luck, we will be, rather than the fly in the web, we will be the swatter. And you can see her men already preparing a cannon and beginning to prep it for mobility and presumably for the long and difficult job of dragging it through the jungle.
I would recommend caution. You don't know exactly what this thing is capable of. For all you know, it could be immune to artillery and will just destroy all of them.
though we do know it is made out of blood and flesh, as far as the veins go, with ivy mixed in.
And be surprised how tough flesh and blood can be in some creatures.
Quite. But I've never encountered anything that was completely bulletproof. Not if you bring enough firepower.
Well, they're your men and your supplies. We just wanted to provide all the information we could.
Indeed. You've done the job I asked of you.
I will assist you.
this actually catches her off guard, and she kind of stares at you cautiously. If you intend to sabotage my operation...
No, no, I don't plan on anything like that. I mean, I guess you could say, I mean, really it's a second thought, but it also could be the fact that if you do happen to go down, then we have no way home. But
Now, pragmaticism, I'm willing to believe.
well, like I said, more of a
And
second thought. I just prefer
we did
not
tell
to.
you we would help with the whole red issue
Yes.
Yeah.
as
He
part of
just
our
doesn't
deal
like
for
throwing
survival.
lives away. He's very sentimental like that.
Yeah, I prefer no one has to die in this situation if need be.
Her gaze, it's almost imperceptible, but you see her gaze does soften. And but almost as if she catches it, she kind of shakes her head, throwing her red hair around, and taps the hilt of her blade into the ground. Right. Go cautiously, men. Bring as many patrols with you as can be spared. The rest of you, begin a thorough search of this island. I don't want any cave unexplored. I don't want any tree unturned. Search under every rock. Find this flesh webbing and identify as much as you can, but do not make contact with it without myself or any other figure of authority nearby. As for you four, she looks over the party and after a moment kind of glances to Thaun and Klavak. They're your men, you deal with them. I will get in touch if I have any further use for you four. And with that, she sheaths her blade and after a long, tense moment, turns on her heel and marches away. You can see she calls over Paul. You recognize the lieutenant you had spoken to in the gun deck and begins to converse with him as they cross the base camp.
Yeah. Well, David was gonna ask Mr. Clavant. You seem very well traveled. Do you think we should disturb the nest to draw the beast out?
He scratches at his chin in thought. Admittedly, that's not a terrible idea. Granted, if you're going to set a trap, you want to be prepared. Do you have...
We do have the ever prepared with us.
To that end, you, and you think he's initially going to ask your name, Paul, as he gestures to you, but almost like he gets caught up in his own thoughts, he just completely bypasses an introduction. I've gathered that you know our prime suspect, as it were. Did he have any weaknesses you knew of? Anything we can use against him?
Did he?
Make a history check.
I don't remember what.
Yeah,
I remember we fought
unfortunately,
a beast. I know we fought his kind. I just don't know what we used to help. 7.
You can't remember. Again, you didn't know him that long, and he always kept to himself. Very cautious about what he told you.
What were the creatures called that we suspect he has?
I don't think we ever told what respect he has.
You knew them from mythology as these deitic figures, the Bed of Thorns and the Sea of Spiders.
Well, we do have one running theory. Do you happen to know anything about the Sea of Thorns?
Oh, the Bed of Thorns, you mean, and its counterpart, the Sea of Spiders.
Yes, that's right. It's a very old tale.
Yes, I'm quite familiar with it. Great deities that came to the Underdark and altered the course of Dark Elf civilization as we know it.
Yeah, we suspect that this individual has kind of pact with the Bed of Thorns.
Fascinating. Well, in that case, I just may have something of use. He begins to flip through a small leather-bound journal, kind of mumbling to himself as he does so. Thoun gives you all a smile and, fantastic job, old sports. Already you're making quite a bit of progress.
Well, I figured you'd want to get off this island as quickly as possible.
Tosh. It's not about getting off the island for me, it's about seeing my crew back on that ship safely.
Yeah, hopefully that ship will hold together once we leave. It apparently took quite a beating.
Well, if it comes down to it, would you be comfortable abandoning the ship if I could get you all home?
There's no need for that. I got a look at the mast while I was being dragged onto the Rotterdam. It's damaged, but can still function. And as long as our well-trained carpenter is able to take a look at it after this is all said and done, I suspect our journey home will be rough, but more than capable.
As long as we don't get into any more fights.
With any luck. Eventually, it seems Klavok finds what he's looking for and drums some fingers on a page. I once had the fortune, good or ill is your decision, to have a once-off encounter with the Sea of Spiders. I've yet to meet the Bed of Thorns personally, but given that they are mirrored entities, I have reason to suspect their strengths and weaknesses may be the same. Being stranded in the Underdark, they took on the form of spiders. Quite common creatures down there, you understand. And when the Arachne and the Dark Elves found them, they took to seeing them as mythic, godlike entities. However, when I met with the Sea of Spiders, to my surprise, it was not at all what I expected. It is no god. It is merely a creature like any other. The woman is not completely wrong. Nothing in this world is completely indestructible. Otherwise, I'd be out of a job. No. It has weaknesses. He looks over the book and eventually kind of giving a small nod. I mentioned that the northwestern part of the island was completely devoid of these webbings, and the fauna of the island seemed completely undisturbed.
Yes.
Your theory actually helps me explain that. And he begins making new notes in his booklet as he's speaking. The river I directed you to is how I find my way to what you seem to have identified as a nest of the creature. That is a river of water. You may not have seen it due to the dense coverage, but to the north of this island there's a second river. One formed of the volcano's pyroclastic flow. A river of lava.
It doesn't like fire.
The creatures of this island adore the heat and flock to the river. But this creature seems to avoid it, as well as all of the potential food. Now, granted, if this is a relative of the Sea of Spiders or Bed of Thorns, they get no... well, I cannot say if they truly get sustenance, but I definitely know they do not derive any pleasure from killing animals. I thought perhaps it was simply avoiding them due to that. However, it seems to have gone to the effort of chasing animals away from its nest.
Did seem to possibly capture some birds, though.
Well, they're statues.
Yes, the cocoons. I noticed similar ones, but not made of the same material to the northwest. I'm not sure of the exact civilization that made them, but perhaps somebody with more archaeological intuition could identify it.
That would be my sorry.
That our dragonborn friend here, sorry, he happens to be an archaeologist. By trade, obviously. Right now they're on an adventure.
Well, then, that's convenient. He shuts the book. The other thing I noticed is an aversion to high volumes.
So
Where's
they
the high
don't like
volume around
heights.
here?
Uh, 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 you there. And again, Grail, like he goes to ask for your name, but then seemingly gets distracted. What were you saying?
So they don't like heights? Or
No,
just
no. Volumes, my friend. Acoustic sounds, echoes.
oh they don't like loud sound.
And you, he points to you, Vapin. Your point?
What? Where on this island is there loud sounds?
Indeed, your observations have greatly assisted me. There's a nest of a plant that, judging by your accents, you all are likely familiar with already. Triphytus.
You mean that's triffids, right?
Yes.
You mean triffids?
Layman's term, but yes. There's a large colony of Triphytus to the northern end of the jungle, the largest I've ever seen. Perhaps their cliques are keeping the creature at bay.
Wow. We should avoid that area.
Quite. But what seems to be an obstacle to some could be an asset for others. We have a source of heat and a source of noise. Two things that we know the creature to detest. If we can find a way to make use of those, perhaps the threats of this island could be turned against the very creature that hopes to avoid them, as it were.
Now, to do that, we would have to lead it there. It probably would be easier just to create those things in an area of our choosing. It's not hard to create
I was
fires.
going to. Oh, loud noises for that fact.
He kind of gives a smile and puts up his hands. I try to avoid magical solutions to problems. Magic I find to be rather unwieldy. It's just a suggestion. You may do as you wish.
Well, if we need loud noises, I can do that.
Don't I know that?
And it can be pretty easy, like I said, pretty easy to create some fire. We can even, if we can find a fireproof receptacle, we can maybe even scoop up some of that lava and use it. I believe Paul has a metal bucket.
And yeah, I was even gonna have him say just like, you would need quite a powerful receptacle for something like that.
Yes.
Something powerful, like a metal bucket.
It's not even metal; it's like tin.
I don't
Matthew,
think this
tin
bucket-
is a metal.
Yeah, like
Is
you
that
know what I
alloy?
mean. Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, tin can be alloyed into bronze.
We're not gonna go there.
But I don't think the bucket will survive that.
Well, at the very least, I hope my observations have been of use to you.
And I
But
think
we
it
know how
would
to
be
fight
very
it.
helpful. So it's the melting point of tin. Lava.
The lavas.
I'm going to take a wild guess and say lava far exceeds it.
Though, what concerns me is, will the pirate huntress keep her men out beyond the safety of daytime? And if that happens, how much stronger will it make this creature? You said you met their sibling.
Yes, I did.
If this thing were to feed on, well, since it seems to be cannibal, if it feeds, does it get stronger? And if so, do you have any idea how much?
In my observations, at least with the Sea of Spiders. It grows in strength and intelligence for every sentient mind it feeds on.
Hmm.
It learns something new from every host, even when it has many. Not quite a hive mind, not a true one. Rather, imagine if you had a tapeworm. And imagine if that tapeworm had eggs, which you then spread to your friends here. The tapeworm in you could learn from the experiences of the others, its children. Now, those children may grow to be completely distinct entities from the original, but their connection remains.
So there's a telepathic link between each of them.
At least a minor one. That, or they're capable of some form of communication that we can't identify with our level of technology.
I've got a bad feeling about those people that just left. Bretonians or not, I think I got a feeling most of them won't make it back.
I mean, we can always try to protect them.
Wouldn't
But
that be
will
good
they
for
let
it
us?
to get a meal and become stronger?
I mean, let
But
us
will
or
the-
not.
Will the captain let us out of here? Or will we have to fight our way out?
I think we're trapped here. Paul did offer to help.
And Thoun gives a nod. She gave the order. You fine boys are in my hands as of now. As long as I keep an eye on you, you're free to go where you wish, insofar as you don't actively sabotage her operations, which I may miss a few things. I'm an old man, after all.
Of course, of course. Hmm. Are we agreed then? Are we gonna go back to the nest?
I'm
Yeah.
fine with this.
We could prepare maybe some kind of trap for it.
Some spells, and I know Greg has got that little fire spirit of his.
Yeah, but I only have one wild shape left. I'd have to take a break, rest, or do a short rest
Yeah.
to
We
be
could
able to
take
get
a
them all
little-
back.
We can take a little bit of a break. It's not a big deal.
Except time is
If
of
we
the
take
essence.
a little bit of a break, it'll be night before you know it. And you
I
might
mean,
as well just
you
start
only
again in the
like
morning.
Hour for like a short rest.
I don't believe so, but let me
Well,
check.
a short rest is an hour, yeah. A short rest
Oh.
is an hour, but
It probably would not be wise to be racing against the nighttime to deal with this. We'd want to take our time.
yeah.
So
If I had,
Obviously, I mean, obviously, if these pirates or pirate hunters rather do something stupid, then we'll have to do something then. But if they can
How
avoid doing
long-
something stupid until morning, we can get a full
I
rest.
doubt that. But how long would it take for the pirate hunters with their cannon? If I had to guess, to get from here to the mountain base.
roll survival.
So 10 has a pathetic melting point. I think it might be the worst metal in that regard. Who makes a bucket out of 10?
Well, for drawing water, it should be
Also-
plenty.
You're not melting a bucket usually. You're not usually putting something incredibly hot in the bucket.
Yeah, but for the same reason people make
But they have
cans out of 10.
steel working. They don't make cans out of steel because steel has a tendency to leach into the liquid it's stored in it.
Like the liquids you would put in a bucket.
You can use it as you don't drink. I'm sorry. Do you drink out of a bucket, like a
It's-
metal bucket?
Depends.
Some
Yeah, like-
depends.
You can also use it as bath water. Yeah, some people use-
Yeah,
It
but
was it was a
the
dirty
steel
20,
just affects
Matthew.
the leaching. Mostly just affects the taste. Even
And
those tin cans have that problem, but they put a liner on them that makes it not do that.
and Greylog, by your
And
guesstimate,
they're
because
not tin.
you guys flying and not having to deal with a cannon and being a smaller group all made your travel very fast. And even then, it was like a 15-20 minute flight. You would guesstimate if they're setting out now, which it appears they're intent on doing, they likely won't arrive at the mountain base itself until probably the following morning.
Mm.
Because bear in mind, this jungle is not traveled. Klavak's little path is meant for one person, and even then, he has to constantly keep trimming it to make sure that no foliage grows into it. So that's difficult terrain, slowing the cannon down, which cannons are infamously very difficult to drag over such terrain. They have to avoid the river and any fallen trees, which is going to slow them down. They're a large group, which is going to slow them down. And they're all dragging guns and blades and, of course, the cannon. Overall, yeah, it's going to take them all night to get there.
These guys are screwed.
Well,
Yeah, we may have to be ready to spring into action, but if we can get away with it, it would be ideal to have a full rest.
I don't think we're going to have that much time.
I think
I think
If that
I think we
happens,
need to
we'll go
we
help
need to
them.
go. We need to get there first.
Well, I mean, an idea. I mean,
Why do you always want to go half-cocked into every damn situation?
Because if it comes down to it, and if this thing feasts on these people,
If they get into trouble, we'll likely hear it.
and they'll be dead by the time we get there.
I may have an idea that would work.
What's your idea?
Well, I can fly. I can fly overhead them and keep an eye on them. And while I keep an eye, y'all get a rest. Once you feel rested, then I can either y'all can catch up, or if there is some disturbance, I can warn you. And well, I'll shout a warning, I guess, best I can about that. But
So does he
I
get
will help
wild
them.
shapes on a short rest?
yes,
Yes.
Okay.
No, has anyone warned the pirate hunter captain about?
They've been told them not to touch it.
No, I mean about traveling at night
No.
on this island.
no.
Could I
Maybe
go
gonna
and
look to their two allies. Be like, did either of y'all warn her about being out at night?
I told her everything that I know about staying on this island. That was the first of my many warnings.
and yet
I'm
she's
guessing
going
she's just choosing
against
to ignore
it?
that because her men are gonna have to work through the night to set up their guns. What exactly happens at night?
As I said, this island is haunted. At night, it happens in the day occasionally, but at night, well, not every sailor who tried to come here was as fortunate as us. Their spirits linger, dreaming of getting access to the treasure buried somewhere on this island. Their spirits still search it to this day. I see them when I make occasional night patrols, wandering the jungles, trying to search everywhere. And
Does the
If
beast come out at night?
it hunts more frequently at night, but as far as I can identify, it's not constrained to that.
I bet you that treasure's in the mountain.
Don't
Sounds
even
eerie.
think about that, or you'll bring the curse down on us.
No, I'm not wanting the treasure. I'm just saying that's probably where it's going to be at.
That does stand to reason. I've noticed that the spirits tend to appear in greater numbers and their travel paths, and he flips open back his book, presumably to a sketch he's made of this. Their pathways do all seem to intersect around the volcano. Perhaps even unconsciously they're making their way to their destination, but once they reach the mountain, perhaps there's some sort of blockage.
Also, this creature is sort of bonded with a pirate captain named Red. Maybe he wants the treasure. That's why he set up his little barrier around the... If it was him, it would stand to reason that maybe he's trying to keep others out.
Like, you think he's found it, he just doesn't have a way to transport it, so he just
Maybe.
erected a barrier.
Maybe. Maybe he figures with this creature at his side, no curse can best him. Which
Famous
he
last
seems
words.
to... You say that, but it seems to have worked for him so far. The curse hasn't got him yet.
He scratches at his chin, seemingly deep in thought. Well, at any rate, these spirits, they lure in their targets through vocalization, and, well, they're not innately dangerous, but if they deem that you are preventing them from accessing their treasure, well, that may certainly bring a spirit to anger. They're called the Hitodama, the fire spirits.
Do I know this? Because I have a fire spirit companion.
Roll Arcana.
That would be an 18.
Yes, you are familiar. They are not native to the region you grew up, but you have heard of them. Hitodama are, as mentioned, ghosts. They take the form of colorful flames, typically appearing at night at low elevation levels, kind of crawling along the ground. They are the souls of the dead separated from their bodies. They are often mistaken for fire elementals, although they are not truly fire elementals. They often flock to areas where there is about to be a birth or there is about to be a death. They appear from a dead body, typically about 2 to 3 days after the body dies, and will begin to drift towards the nearest place or person that the spirit finds significant. They are very loud, and again, if you deliberately antagonize them, potentially dangerous. However, it is said they can be trapped, and they're actually quite common in the regions where they're native, to the point where, in some continents like Redalia, it's said that nobody ever, no adult has ever not seen one. They're super commonplace.
Well, they're made of fire and they're very noisy. They sound like this creature's bane of their existence.
Ah, an astute observation, Mr. Glotha. Although that does raise the question, if what this talkative fellow says is true, this creature's gone out of its way to drive every threat to itself away from its nest, or at the very least built its nest as far from them as it could. If this creature's as powerful as it's said to be, why not chase these spirits away as well?
Maybe it can't, for some reason. They are spirits, after all.
Mystery for the ages, what? But I suppose we're going to find out one way or another.
From a previous movie, isn't like a thing like physical things cannot hurt spirits?
It, granted, depends on the spirit. Some spirits can be harmed by physical items, although they are often, it's often harder to do that than it is to just, use magic or something. Although, from what Klavak has said, he at least implies that he's defended himself from these things once or twice, and he seems to use no magic items to speak of.
Does Avaben's book say anything about these creatures?
Flipping through your book, you find similar research to what was conducted, I say conducted, but basically similar to what Greylog is aware of. The only thing you find in your book that Greylog does not know specifically, not living near them, is that if you are ever in the proximity of one and have not seen one, it will always seek you out. So basically, they're drawn to people who have not seen them yet.
Kvok, have you been able to physically fight these things when they get too close to you?
Of course, it pays to be prepared.
So they can be hurt physically.
They have to take a bit more of a beating than a like-bodied physical form creature, but yes.
So yeah, in theory, this creature should be able to deal with them if it so wanted. The only conclusion I could come up with is for some reason it has no desire to harm these creatures. Because if it certainly wanted to, if it's as powerful as the stories say, it probably could have wiped them off this island. Well, see, the stories are true. It could have just wiped out the animals too, but it obviously didn't want to do that either.
There's another aspect that it's using these other things as extra lines of defense against people who come to the island.
That is quite the gamble, though. Keeping a creature that possesses both of its weaknesses at once as a line of its own defense.
Yeah,
To be fair,
but
it is
what'd you
currently
expect
separating
of that?
itself from them.
Many, many mysteries and no closer to answers yet. But you're all of astute mind. I have no doubt you'll solve it within a day or two, tops.
I got a feeling that's all we were going to get. Because if we don't go to it, it's going to know that we're here once it finds these guys.
Well, Paul, keep an eye out. I'm sure if he sees anything, if one of these spirits attacks them, that's no big deal. I'm sure Paul will intervene because that's his nature, but ultimately it does not affect our mission if one of these spirits gets one of them, only if this thing gets them.
And since it seems the life of these pirate hunters is of concern to a good majority of us, I'd be more than willing to accompany them as well.
You're actually concerned for them?
He pauses, and I've seen the inside of the mind of someone who cares for no one. I rather find myself agreeing with your well-dressed comrade here.
Let's say not caring for no one, but these guys are literally aren't they literally your enemies?
My dearest always told me that the greatest form of mercy is one extended to someone who's trying to hurt you.
Well, I guess it's noble if nothing else.
So,
The foolishness of it is up for debate.
before Paul heads out, though, is there any way I can make him like a little. I don't want to say like grenade, or just something that'll make noise but no damage.
You're
Like
gonna have to suggest something to me.
Sound bomb.
Like almost like a
Some way for him
flashbang,
to
but
signal us.
yeah, like a flashbang that he could set off into the air. That we could like a flare almost.
You mean a flare gun?
Well, yeah, but we don't have flare guns, so he's thinking.
I don't
Or
know.
we don't have flash bombs either, but well, just something improvised that can be seen from a distance.
I will say you have, looking at your inventory here, you have a tinderbox and some torches. Let's see here. The only other thing I can see, again, unless you suggest something, would be maybe the smoke bombs and hope for the best, or the cannonballs. But Paul would have to, cart a cannonball. Hello.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
For now.
Could I'll say, I could go with. I can send off, a message in the sky or something.
That would be a marvelous assistance, Doctor. Paul Sport, can that beast of yours carry more than one person?
I can fly.
Well, he's saying himself, I'm assuming, but
Oh, no, I have my own method of getting airborne if the need arises. Doctor, is this method of flight of yours not in short supply?
No, I mean I can do it whenever I want.
Well, that is certainly useful then.
Okay, yeah, I can confirm flare guns did not exist at this level.
It's fine. I have prestidigitation. I can just, make a shower of sparks in the sky.
Well, then it appears we are approaching something resembling a plan.
If we make it to the morning, then we can set up a trap for this creature to finish it off. If not, then, well, we'll have to use some of my party members' favorite strategy of make it up as you go along.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, sometimes you've just got to go by the seat of your pants.
Right. I'll accompany those sports into the jungle. You two keep an eye on things from the air. You two, and he gestures to Avaven and Greylog, rest well, watch your backs.
Yes,
Maybe
sir.
4 hours, and I can probably help with keeping watch.
And please, be safe.
You too. And I will go down for a short
Am I
rest.
supposed to be attuned to the Forge Cast pistol?
If you want to use it, yes.
Okay, I'm probably already attuned to it. I just forgot to check the box.
Yeah, I don't think you have. Yeah, you don't have enough items for there to be a contesting problem, so yeah, that's fine.
I do have a way that could deal with this creature very quickly if we're lucky.
Greylog, as you start to split off, Klavok holds out a hand and, come on, I have a small inn set up. It's not much, but it'll keep the sun off your back at least.
You built an inn? Were you expecting visitors?
It pays to be prepared.
Yeah, maybe
I like
offer
you.
lodging to the flame spirits on their long journey to the Central Mountain.
He gives a smirk and
I do have that cook's frying pan with that, as you said, had that rune on the bottom. Can I show it to Klovak and see if he recognizes it and see what if he knows what it is?
as you pull the frying pan free, he looks over it curiously, just a small distance away from the rest of you so you guys can hear this. And his eyebrows kind of shoot up and he glances through his book again. And yes. You have quite the powerful enchantment on you there.
What exactly is it?
It's an enchantment to ensure that the pan suffers no wear and tear and suffers no stain.
An enchanted frying pan.
That it is.
Don't show my mom. She would literally murder for that.
Well, hey, if you murder someone with it, it won't be stained by their blood.
Oh, I thought it, but I wasn't going to say it.
I mean, is that not what the rune does?
You are correct. Avaben and Greylog, Klavak escorts you to a large hut he has constructed off the center of camp, and offers you all lodging. It's it's communal, and you're sharing the space with a lot of the pirate hunters in your crew, but it's better than nothing. Paul?
Yeah. Everyone will meditate for 4 hours.
All right. Paul, sorry. Anything before you leave, and anything I should know over the course of your sort of protective circle over the pirate hunters?
Uh, uh,
You might either correct your
Crunchy.
phone or text it.
Crunchy.
no,
Paul, anything from you?
No, but I mean, just keep on that watchful eye.
All right. Both of you, if possible, roll perception. And now I will say, are you planning to keep watch all night? You can, just so A, I know if that influences the roll, and B, if you're going to take any exhaustion penalties or not. Like, is there a point where you'll call it and just let them fend for themselves?
You know what? I will go all night.
Okay.
Yep, Paul is gonna have disadvantage in the fight.
No.
I'm not going to do that to myself. I'll go to sleep.
You're like, I've already had to deal with that before. No.
Not
Listen,
again.
Wait.
I already have that problem with one character. We don't need two characters with this problem.
Fair enough.
You're
I mean,
all-
Avaben will be up in 4 hours, so.
Yeah.
yeah, but you have to get to us.
I mean,
I
is
can
this
I can help him
forest?
with that. Like all I had to do is I cast polymorph on him and turn him into something that could fly, and he'll catch up with you, and it would drop. But I think will it drop if he wants it to, or does he have to wait for it to go out?
I think because you cast it.
Yeah, since you cast, I think you decide.
Yeah.
Yeah, since if you cast on an unwilling subject, I'd just be like, oh, I don't like that one.
Yeah, I don't want to be a mouse. All right.
But
Oh, so this is forest, right? Or is it jungle?
Well, it's jungle, but because that's not a specific terrain, as far as I know, this counts as forest mechanically. So yes, your survival stuff does come in handy here.
Yeah, maybe we can track this pretty quickly.
Okay. Avaben, Greylog, you all begin to kip down for a rest. The sun burns overhead, but you're just determined to stay out of it. Paul, sorry, you take to the sky, and indeed, you see in camp, Thone helps the artillery crew get their cannon ready to move, and acts as a guide to lead them forward.
She got a whip and just whipping them.
No. Bowman is actually, at least Paul, I'm sorry, from your elevated position, nowhere to be seen. You imagine she's still in the camp, though. You haven't seen her or anyone else leave the island since arriving.
Hmm.
Can Avaben, how much can elves, kind of guide their meditation? Like, to think about things while they're meditating?
Yeah, you can essentially think about whatever you want.
Okay, I meant, could he, maybe, I don't know what I was trying to say.
That's fine.
I was trying to say, basically, could he think about the details and see if there's anything he could think of that he might have missed?
You can certainly do that, but mechanically, that's not there's no mechanical benefit. But
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I was asking.
all right, Avaben, you settle into a meditation and contemplate the information in front of you. You're on an island of predators from all directions. Triffids, a creature that was a danger even to the people of your homeland, pirate hunters from a country you hate, and
Pirates.
and a strange creature identified by some as a deitic figure and by others as simply a very powerful creature. With that, one way or another, it poses a potential risk in and of itself. Paul and Asari, concerned for the lives of your quote-unquote crew, and more importantly, not being interested in unnecessary casualties that could further make your problems difficult, you patrol the skies under the glaring sun. By the time the sun is beginning to set, both of you are a panting, sweaty mess.
Well, Paul doesn't have to do any exertion of flying.
No,
Yeah,
it's
but bear in
muggy.
mind, he's in the heat of a tropical island, and he's in the air, so zero protection from the sunlight, in armor and a suit.
Yeah.
Though I do have a question about my wild shape ability, Matthew,
I might have an answer.
because
for
it
your wild shape
says
ability.
I could I can assume the shape of a beast that I've seen, and you
Yes.
have said before that I don't have to have seen the beast alive. I just have to see it in one shape or another.
Yeah, basically, you have to know what the beast looks like.
So
You can-
technically, I could turn it into a little dragon.
Well, as long as it has a certain CR as well.
And also, dragons are not beasts.
They are intelligent beings.
Even then, I could use polymorph for that then.
Well, yes.
Technically.
I think even that has limits, but yeah.
Yeah, but as long as it's within the constraints of the ability, then yes, nothing is technically stopping you.
And roll
Okay.
0, I assume.
Mm-hmm. Astari, when the sun sets, you call it quits, and panting, hungry, and just generally uncomfortable, you leave Paul to finish the rest of the patrol alone.
I assume Vaben gets up after 4 hours.
Yeah, I was going to say, basically, we'll say that, Astari, you arrive at the camp around when Avaben is getting up and planning to do something. Avaben, you're actually you do still get a long rest, so you can go ahead and chalk off a long rest. Greylog, you are asleep, but Avaben, you and some of the crew as well as you all and Ollie sleeping nearby with you, get kind of jolted out of their rest as the door is opened by Bowman, the pirate huntress. She kind of looks around and... We need a shift of night patrols. Everyone get off your ass. You see, she's mostly directing her attention to her crew, who indeed they kind of groan and complain, but they do as told and begin to grab their rifles and uniforms and head out into the heat. As even with the sun going down, this place is still muggy and uncomfortable. You know the drill, boys. Stack your muskets, don't powder them. In this heat, they're going to be nothing but sticks in minutes. And you're going to need a guide. She looks over the assembled crew, not hers, but you guys's on the other side. You see her glance to you, Avaben, and give a smirk, and you see her gaze linger uncomfortably on you all and Ollie before she makes deliberate eye contact with you and shifts her eyes away.
She says a guide. What does she mean by that exactly?
That, actually, you're not sure. None of your crew, other than the captain and Klavak, have any more knowledge of the island than her crew does. You imagine guide is insinuation for something else.
What do you mean by guide, if I might ask?
Yeah, as you're kind of jolted out of your sleep by this disturbance. If you want me to be blunt with it, you've helped me, but I still don't trust you. So, wherever my men go, yours go. Try to send my men into a death trap, one of your own will be caught in the crossfire.
Fair enough. In that case, wouldn't it be better to keep your men inside the village?
It
You
would.
were warned that it's not safe out at night.
It would. But this island is hot, and every moment we delay is a moment for our target to potentially escape. I said I want this island searched, and I meant it. There's only so much we can do if we only operate in daylight.
If you think about it, you're after a pirate, yes? And what is it that you say pirates want above all else?
Fortune.
And what is on this island again?
Fortune, according to legend.
I don't think your pirate is planning on leaving here without that fortune. Why else would he have come to this place? Pirates avoid it like they'll get some kind of plague from it. He thinks he's tough enough to beat this island and take its treasure.
Roll persuasion.
Guidance.
Persuasion.
And you have guidance.
Good, because I have Raven has no charisma.
I mean, most of us don't.
What does guidance do again?
You add a d4 to whatever you roll.
Okay, where's my d4? There's my little baby d4. 18.
She stares at you for a long moment before sighing and waving her hand. Belay that. We don't go out at night. Gather all the patrols that are out in the jungle and bring them back here. And I want a head count. I don't want any extra heads or missing ones. Understand me? I suspect your agents will be good enough to keep an eye on my artillery crew. I'm placing the lives of my men in your hands. Do not disappoint me.
If anything happens, they're going to let us know, and we'll be out there trying to help them as best we can. We
How
don't want your
noble of
men
you.
dying any more than we want ours to die. Because
Yeah, I changed my headphones.
because if whatever's out there, if it's what we think it might be, we'll get stronger if it feeds. Well, on intelligent life.
Very well.
Basically, if you're going to fight it, you don't want to employ the concept of cannon fodder. It'll just make the problem worse.
So, loud noises and fire will be on your side.
At this, she gives a smirk, and that's what the artillery is for, dear.
Exactly.
Once my men have established a base camp, I'll recall them and give them temporary leave. Assuming your friends ensure they make it there in one piece. And with that, she turns on her heel and stomps out. And you can see her crew kind of looks at you guys with smiles, and one of the British soldiers kind of leans back against the wall of the hut. Thanks, mate. I wasn't looking forward to patrolling a place like this at night. And he swats a mosquito on his arm.
I bet. As soon as she can be reasoned with.
And it is reasonable. It's a pirate on an island for its famous treasure. He'd only come here for one reason.
Unless he was stuck here, but still.
Even if he was stuck here, it's still logical to assume that he would decide might as well go for it.
So, anyone aboard? Got any cards, dice?
A few of the soldiers seem interested, but the one who had spoken just waves a hand and, I'm going back to sleep. And I'll say, Greylog, you only got like a few hours of sleep yourself.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting I'm not an elf. It was my first character. It's a habit.
No, it's fine. Yeah. Feeling the Z's catch up with you yourself.
Raven is Raven's companions awake?
Yeah, they were jolted awake by the thing too, but you guys got the full amount of sleep you needed.
Yeah. Let's see. Considering her skill set, Raven's gonna look to Ollie and be like, "So, do you want to help me make sure these humans don't get themselves into trouble?"
Technically, my job is to make sure you don't get yourself into trouble, but same difference. And she, with a dexterous jump, hops up to her feet. Let's keep an eye on things. It's not a terrible idea having a night patrol, but, well, we can see better in the dark anyhow.
Yeah. And knowing me and you, we'll be able to probably stay in the trees high above those little fire spirits.
I've never seen something like that in person before.
You could certainly look at it. Apparently, it's going to try to give you the opportunity. They apparently seek out people who have never seen them before.
You all kind of looks out into the dark jungle outside of the hut curiously. I wonder why.
This is interesting. Oh, you all, I think I do have a task I would like you to help me with.
Aye,
While
aye,
me and
Captain.
Ollie are away. I have filled you in on all the information that we've got on this thing, right?
I was there while you were discussing it with our little trifecta of commanders.
Yeah. I want you to use your planning mind, I know how you are, to come up with a way to use that information.
Yeah. I have a few ideas. Do you want me to tell you, or just tell one of the captains?
I'll be back in... Me and Ollie will be back in the morning. You can tell me and I will tell them.
Yes, sir. And he gives you a playful salute before a kiss on the head, and you stay safe, both of you. Call for help if anything happens.
Oh, you know us. Running around forest and all that, that's our thing.
He kind of playfully grumbles, just, I can go in forest too. But he smiles and gives you a hug before doing the same for Ollie and making his way out of the hut. I'm gonna be on the shore. Helps me think.
Alright, I will go make sure that there isn't too many problems. Everyone looks to Ollie and is like, you have your bow, right? Just in case.
She gives a smirk and indeed pulls out her bow and twirls an arrow.
Alright, and let's get going.
All right. And I will say, as the two of you make your way out of the hut and start making for the borders of the camp to start patrolling, that is when Asari returns and wings refurl to her side. As Asari, you got to that point where you were not going to chance exhaustion on this God's Forsaken island.
I'm just gonna go into my
Is this off the coast of?
sleeping bag.
This is south off the coast of Adama. According to Clavok, the nearest colony is a Bretonnian one called Mine, although it is miles away from here.
I guess, technically speaking, it would be God-forsaken.
True, but it's more habit at that point.
Sorry, come lay down with me.
Gladly. Just curls up.
All right, I will say.
It just says, as on his way out, you're in public, remember that.
I would like you and you all have any room to talk.
I was gonna say, let's stop me before.
Yeah, if they don't want to see shit, they can turn away.
Everyone, no exceptions, unless you have a reason not to. Mark off a day of rations and 1 out of 3 uses of your water skins. You all eat some of your travel food and scarf down water into your dehydrated throats. You're sweating out the water you drink pretty quickly.
Yeah, Vaven's looking to Ollie. If we come near, isn't there a river near here?
Yes, there's a river that flows to the east of the island.
What
he's
kind of
gonna
water
say-
is it? Is it
The
fresh water, salt water?
the river is freshwater.
Okay.
Vaven's gonna say, whenever we get near the river, I might need to get more water.
Same. Let's make sure we check it first, though. Last thing we need is to contract atomic fever.
Vaven just looks at her like, but do I look like a tireling to you? Of course I check my water.
She kind of smirks at you and just, seem pretty tired to me. And she waves a hand in front of your face playfully.
Isn't that like the term the elves use for like
Yeah,
really
tireling.
young?
Because you're not fully awoken yet. Paul,
I didn't awaken yesterday.
Well, let's find you a river and find a good tree to nest up and keep an eye on things. If we're lucky, maybe we'll see some of those spirits of yours.
And it will be a light show.
Paul, roll perception at disadvantage. Vaben, roll perception flat.
Perception flat.
Yeah, because the darkness, but Ollie is there helping you to make it a little easier.
But yeah, Avaven can see it, but Avaven sees it.
You still have disadvantage on perception checks if you have dark vision, but if you didn't have dark vision, you just couldn't see anything at all, period.
Yeah.
But like, isn't it reversed for Avaven? He gets disadvantage in daylight instead of night? Because he's a dark elf?
Technically, no. It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing that we haven't done for like a while because I think Matt said he didn't know about it, but.
Yeah, you have a longer range of dark vision, but you still need to roll perception for things like you have the longest dark vision range of any playable race, but and of course you can cancel out the sunlight sensitivity with a magic item, but just any creature with dark vision period has disadvantage in darkness, but creatures that can't see in the dark just wouldn't be able to see it, period, like no matter what you rolled.
So basically, dark elves always have disadvantage on perception?
In a sense, unless you get that magic item.
I think there's dim light.
Yeah, there is dim light, technically, yeah.
That's kind of weird. I would have thought it would have just been reversed, so you get disadvantage in daylight and no disadvantage in darkness.
Well, yeah, because technically, not everyone who has dark vision has disadvantage on. Yeah. But.
Yeah, so
also,
perception.
I have no dark vision.
Oh no, I'm accounting for that. It's just basically you may hear something, and remember, some of what you're looking at is going to be glowing anyway.
Yeah, and then there
So
is something I
flat-
want to do while I'm sleeping as well.
Flat perception.
All right, we'll circle back to you, Greylog.
It's not like a big thing. It's just like a little thing that doesn't really contribute to anything at all.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to get rolls sorted and all.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Okay, that is a 7, so plus 12 is 19.
Noted.
That plus
Paul?
bailed me out.
Paul.
13.
Okay. Paul, as you and your Periton loyally circle through the night, eventually you're forced to get a little closer to the tree line just so you can go off of sound and, of course, the light of torches to see where the Bretonnian artillery crew and patrols are going. And you follow along with them. By the time the sun sets and Astari abandons you, they are about halfway there. And they're making decently good time, but even they have their limits, and eventually they do stop and set up camp. With their captain not here to force them onward, they take the opportunity to rest and keep an eye on things and then just move in the daylight.
Mm-hmm.
Thoun gives you a wave as you circle above, and as night falls on the island, Asari and Greylog sound asleep. Avaben, refilling your water skin at the river and climbing your way up into a tree along with Ollie. Those of you who are awake, keep an eye on the surrounding island. And that's when you begin to see it. Paul, with an aerial view, you catch it first. A flicker in the distance, like a flame. Bluish in color. The next one orange. Another red. Like a small light show dotting the island in the jungles. All over. Some you can see flickering in the thicker parts of the jungle where the predators are. Others you can see closer to the mountain and the nest. Others you can see even not that far from base camp. Greylog and Asari, completely unbeknownst to you, a few of the spirits even wander directly through the base camp. Not bothering anyone, just walking. These spirits of flame crawling along the ground. Avaben and Ollie, you see a small trio of them slide underneath your tree cover, not stopping to examine you, not even seeming to pay you much mind. These small Hidodamas just crawling along, leaving a trail of ghostly flame that catches nothing around them afire, as if their fire is ethereal and does not truly touch what's around them. You hear them speaking in a language that none of you understand.
I was
But
going to ask, what language do they speak?
they speak native Redalian.
Redalian.
Does Greylog speak Japanese?
No.
Then no, you do not understand them.
I was just curious. I didn't recognize the name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Redalia is in-universe term. As the souls make their way along, they crawl, making their way closer and closer. And Paul, from an aerial view, it's more obvious to you, although Avaben, since you already had an inkling of it, I'll say you catch it as well. You see them sporadically throughout the night, none of them harming you or directly antagonizing you. But because you're just watching where they're going and not doing anything else, you see what Klavak had only suspected. All of them are going the same direction. Regardless of the time, regardless of the color, they make their way east to the mountain. Another wave of them comes. These ones, and again, Greylog and Asari, you're still asleep, but Avaben and Paul, you catch a few of them speaking in common that you can understand. Let's meet. Let's meet. These ghostly whispers as the flames lick their way through the foliage towards the mountain.
Did you hear that?
Let's meet.
Who knows, maybe whatever's in the mountain has never seen one of these before.
Well, if they ever find their way in there for a nasty shock, huh?
Yeah, I wonder who they'll shock more, though. With its sensitivity to fire and sound.
Maybe if we're lucky, these little guys will take care of the problem for us. Maybe that guy was onto something. Might pay to use the things of this island to our advantage.
Yeah, just hoping to think of a way to do that. It doesn't involve It doesn't involve a running fight through thick jungle.
Well, I trust you all just as much as you do. Maybe he'll think of something. We should tell him about this next time we see him.
About what they're saying?
Aye.
It might factor in. I think it would be good to tell them whenever we get the chance.
Well, I suppose if nothing else, this is something we can talk about. Other people say you're supposed to have seen these by the time you're an adult. So, this is our first.
Yeah, just in time.
Hello, little fire spirits. And she waves down to the latest group of them that goes by the tree. You actually do see they stop for a moment before just continuing on their way.
I was gonna laugh if they were like, "Hi, little elves."
It's weird, though.
You can continue.
Well, yeah, she was just gonna say, if all the stories of this place being cursed is true, all of these things, every one of these is somebody who came before us, trying to get to the treasure, and they all paid for it.
I guess in the end, that treasure's not really worth it.
Yeah.
There's
Well-
other treasures are worth it, like ones hidden behind doors.
Well, let's hope so. Otherwise, the last, what, 2.5 years now? Would have been a waste of everyone's time.
I did tell you about what the elder said, though, right?
She gives a slow nod, kind of seeming a little distant now.
May very well be that we may wind up having to fight to stop the door from being opened.
Maybe. Well, you all and I will be there regardless of what you decide. Count on that.
You always have been.
She puts an arm around you, and the two of you watch as, other than the bubbling of the river, the distant sounds of jungle wildlife, and the occasional ghostly whispers of the Hitodama below you, you keep watch on your surroundings, and for the moment, nothing disturbs you. Paul?
Yeah, I had one thing Abaven was gonna say, just kind of idle chatter.
Go for it.
One thing, I can't remember if I've ever asked before, but one thing I'm curious about. How much can you see in the dark compared to what I can see? Like, if Abaven finds something 120 feet away that he can see?
Yeah, there's like trees, points of little rocks in the river, things like that. Even some of the Hitodama themselves.
Yeah, okay, so they will point out like a rock in the river. Like, can you see that rock all the way over there?
She kind of squints and shakes her head. Not quite. From what I understand, it's about half as good as yours is. But, you know, I only need to wear hoods if I feel like it, so I think we're pretty even.
Yeah, I think that makes up for it. You're better at seeing during the day, I'm better at seeing during the night.
Yeah, it comes in handy, that. Luckily, these little guys keep things pretty well lit, so I'm able to see a little bit better. Honestly, this island's kind of pretty. You know, when it's not trying to kill us.
Yeah. As long as we keep our minds on a goal other than that treasure, it hopefully will stay not trying to kill us. Can't speak of this monster on it, though. That is most definitely going to try to kill us.
Well, that's what we're here for, eh? We have him surrounded, at least from this side.
Yeah, and the other side is where he doesn't want to go. You should keep an eye out in case it finds this area to be full of appetizing meals.
I'm keeping an eye on, don't worry.
Can I even think of like any times in the past where they might have done something similar for their village?
I'll say, yeah, like you guys went out hunting, which often involves staking out areas for long periods, and of course, things like patrols. So, yeah, I'll say you guys have done this sort of thing once or twice.
I think maybe like, was there ever a time where there was some kind of like some like a similar situation to this, where there's like some kind of maybe creature that is out and about that the village wanted to keep a lookout for?
Yeah, given the proximity to things like triffids.
You know, this kind of reminds me of the last time one of those Triffid colonies were passing near the village.
Yeah, I remember that. Everyone thought that if we left it alone for too long, they might grow a queen.
Yeah, and so they. That's funny how they didn't appreciate me much until they needed someone to keep a lookout at night.
That's the way it goes sometimes. People don't like you, but then you're useful and people like you.
Yeah. I guess helping them all probably makes them feel like I'm useful, hopefully. With the whole situation, a while ago.
She gives a nod. I think they appreciated it well enough. Elda put in a good word for you, too.
Good to hear.
Paul, you keep a vigilant watch over your charges. And at least from the areas you guys are all monitoring, there is no disturbance in the jungle this night. And all of you who are awake are left with a relatively nice, peaceful, if somewhat unsettling light show as you watch the spirits' endless journey to find a treasure that will likely never be theirs. Greylog, the thing you wanted to do while you were asleep?
No, he was just gonna cast shape water on his water skin to have a cold source.
Alright.
Because he can freeze blocks
Check
of
his
water.
right?
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I assumed that was like done off screen, basically.
Okay. Just making sure that you weren't like, well, you didn't say you were going to.
No, I do. No, that is a legitimately good thing to point out. Just yeah, no, don't worry, you're good.
Oh, and you actually did say that you went to the river and refilled your water skin, by the way.
Well, no, he was more saying like since he didn't specify that he checked it because yeah, that is a realistic risk in tropical places is that there may be diseases in the water even if it's fresh. But like yeah, basically since this is his favorite terrain and it's a fairly simple thing, I basically it's good that he asked, but yeah, he's good to go. And yeah, Greylog, shifting uncomfortably, you awaken a second time and cast a spell to freeze your water skin to provide yourself a source of cold to help you get through the humid, muggy night. The night passes over the Suicide Hollow. Your predator is nowhere to be found, but you have given some sway to the pirate huntress, slowly convincing her that you are not allied with the Brethren of the Coast and are really just out to do some good. And you have found a strange tendrillous nest, discovered some of the creatures of this island, and have formulated something of a rough plan. It remains to be seen if the various forces up against you have anything to say about that. But for now, you all get a long rest, except for Paul, who takes a point of exhaustion. And that is where we're going to end tonight's session.
Yeah, it's bound to happen eventually.
I mean, statistically, yes.
I'm exhausted now. Oh boy.
Oh no. He is exhausted, boy.
Check out our website at officiald5hub.info. Down for maintenance at the moment, but soon to be resurrected from the grave, like a filthy necromancer patrolling a haunted pirate island. Check out our link in chat to join our official D5 Discord server if you want to hang out with us directly. Support our episodes posted on Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Google Podcasts, and the iHeart Podcast Network, wherever you happen to get them from. For our audio listeners, catch us live on Mondays at 7 o'clock Central Daylight Time on twitch.tv/Odd Tornado Productions. Check out Odd Tornado Productions on YouTube to catch up on what you may have missed. And check out Odd Tornado Productions official on Tumblr to find links to all of our other works, including our Exhausted Paladins Twitch channel at twitch.tv/AustinFreak123. If you enjoy what we do, please support us on Patreon. That link to be posted in chat. On Ko-fi at ko-fi.com/Odd Tornado Productions, and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/TornadoOdd. The TNO are capitalized if you want to get immediate updates whenever we go live, as well as updates on all of our other projects. And if you enjoy this party and want to see more of them, plus or minus a few, tune in tomorrow, Tuesdays at 7 o'clock Central Daylight Time, for our Tuesday game of Black Ink and Blue Blood, featuring a party of politicians and nobles trying to unravel a political conspiracy if they can just stop stabbing each other in the back long enough. Thank you, everyone at the table, so much for playing. Thanks, everyone at home, so much for watching. And we'll see you all next week.